Hi, welcome to Biology 104 online. What I wanted to do is make a kind of quick video to show you where everything is located in Blackboard. So they're doing something new this semester where right when you first log in, it's taking you to a quick quiz just so we can mark you as attending. As soon as we get that out of the way, whenever you log on to Blackboard after that, it's going to take you to the home page. So this page right here is what you'll see whenever you log in. So if you'll notice, it's got a section for my task right here. Anything that's due within the next week or so, I'm going to post that in the my task. So always check that to make sure that you're up to date on your assignments. There will also be several announcements right here on the first day of class. So you can go through and read those too. I'm going to have an announcement of like every week, this is what you need to be doing. Any special assignments or anything like that, I'll post an announcement there as well. So just check Blackboard regularly. I would say at least a couple times a week. Check Blackboard, check the announcements, and make sure that you haven't forgotten anything and that you're up to date. All right, let's go over to the left side, and here's the Start Here tab. That's where this video is that you're watching, so I know that you made it this far. So this video will kind of show you where everything's located. Quick introduction about the class. At the beginning of this semester, I sent everyone an email that had a copy of the syllabus. There's also a getting started letter, so you've got another copy of that right there. This is just a kind of a more detailed version of all the different things we do in class. All right, real quick note about online labs, and I'm going to say this way too much at the beginning of this semester, but I want to make sure that you understand. You do have to purchase a lab kit for this course. With this being a science class, a lab component is required. So you have to have your lab kit. The kit comes from a company called Science Interactive. You can either purchase the kit from the bookstore. If you'll tell them that you're taking Biology 104 online, they're going to get the right kit for you. All right. This company, Science Interactive, it used to be called Hands-On Labs. So if you see that name at the bookstore, don't let that scare you. It's the same thing. They just changed their name recently. You can also order directly from that company right here where it says Science Interactive, order here. Down here, you can order it there as well. All right, you have to purchase the kit in order to do the labs. I know that sounds like it's kind of obvious. What I'm saying though is that if you don't buy a lab kit, it's not going to let you open the labs or submit any work at all. So it is required. It's absolutely required for you to have the lab kit. If not, you're not going to be able to submit anything, and I can't give you grades for the lab. All right, so order that as soon as possible if you haven't done that already. Our first lab assignment is at the end of week 2. It can actually take a couple weeks for these lab kits to come in. So that means if you haven't ordered it yet at the beginning of class, you really need to order it as soon as possible to make sure that it comes in on time. All right, required textbook. We have to list a required textbook, and this is actually a really good textbook. It's Biology by Sylvia Mader. It's really good if, let's say, you're watching the lecture videos and something just isn't making sense. You can use that textbook. You can find that part in the book and read it. And a lot of times, just seeing it worded a little differently can be helpful. Having said that, all the material that you're going to need to know for the test in here, I'm going to cover on lecture videos that I have recorded. So I usually have a student who just can't purchase the lab kit. Like financially, that's just not an option. As long as you will watch the lecture videos, watch them all, and take notes, you're going to cover everything that you'll need to know for the test, all right? Now, I've got PowerPoints posted, but I also want you to watch the lecture video because I'm going to give you extra notes, just like if it was a classroom lecture, like we meet up in a classroom and I'm lecturing. I'm going to have extra notes in those videos too, so make sure that you watch that and take notes. All right, lab kit, that's required. We just went over that. Here's another link where you can order that lab kit. And then because it's an online class, you're going to need access to a computer with good internet access. Smartphones are great, but they're not going to do everything you need to do in this class, so you need an actual desktop or laptop computer. All right, let's go through these tabs real quick. So you can always make your way to the home page by clicking here. Here's my contact information. Those red hours, I'm going to be in my office pretty much all of those hours. So any of these hours listed right here, if you will call my office number, I should be in my office and I can get in touch with you and answer any questions that you have. All right, syllabus. I sent you a copy of that before the beginning of the semester, but you can also find a copy here. So read through that. Now that it's the beginning of the semester, it's a good idea to read through that. And if you have any questions about anything, like any assignment dates, let me know ahead of time, and we can work through whatever we need to. All right, you've got an assignment that's a syllabus quiz. Basically, all this is once you have read the syllabus, and you can even print it off and like have it in front of you if you want. I want you to answer this quick 5-question quiz, and it's going to be things like, where is my office located? What's the date of our first exam? If you've got the syllabus in front of you, those are going to be really easy to find. You've also got a list of all the assignments all semester in this class. So it's a good idea to double check this and make sure that you, like in week 1, make sure you do all of these assignments before the due date. Week 2, if you'll use this as like your checklist to make sure that you do work on time, then you should never get confused by saying I didn't know there was a quiz due that day, because day 1 you've got all of the assignment dates. All right, announcements, those are going to be on the home page, but you can also click here and it'll show you all the announcements that we have. I'll also have a quick video like each week and kind of explain what we're going to be doing. So feel free to watch those just to make sure that you kind of understand all the assignments. Okay, here's the big one, is learning materials. This is where all of the lecture material is going to be. All right, so week 1, we're going to be doing a lecture on Intro to Animals and Sponges and Cnidarians. So Unit 1, everything on the first test is going to be in Unit 1. I'm going to open that folder. And then Section 1, this is the one we should do this week, Sponges and Cnidarians. When you open that folder, you've got a PowerPoint. So here's what that looks like. This is the PowerPoint that if this was like a regular class, I would have this projected on the screen and I would lecture. So I just uploaded this PowerPoint to Blackboard. Now what you can do is go to print, and be careful, because if you print right now, every page is going to be like 1 slide, and that's going to waste a whole bunch of paper and way too much ink. You can change to Handouts. I like the one that says Handouts, 3 slides per page. It's kind of hard to see, but what that's going to do is it's going to print 3 slides on each page, and it has plenty of room for notes out to the side. So if you'll do that, print that off. You can still read through the PowerPoint and highlight any important things that you need to know. But what's going to be really helpful is I also have lecture videos recorded. Right now, when I click on this, this is going to be one like really long lecture for all of this section. So it is, yeah, like 2.5 hours. That's a long movie, like an entertaining movie. So that's a really long lecture. What I'm going to try to do is take all of these lectures and split them into smaller pieces. So I might split this one into like 4 parts or so. All right. That way, if you only have 30 minutes or 40 minutes, you can still watch one of those parts and then watch the next part later when you get a chance. But anyway, if you'll print the handout and have that with you,
welcome to Biology.
Then you can watch these lecture videos. And this is as close as I can get to like if we were in a classroom together and I'm lecturing. It's got the same PowerPoint that you're looking at on your handout. There are going to be times that I add extra notes. I'm trying to find, so like I'll draw things out like I would do on a whiteboard. So if you will have your handout with you while you're watching this video, you can write those notes and fill all that in while you're watching the videos. All right, back to the learning materials. You've also got a study guide for each exam, so feel free to use that. And that's where all of our material for the whole semester is going to be right here. We're going to have 5 tests in here, so there's 5 units, 1 for each test. All right, when we start taking exams, you're going to find that in the Exams tab to the left. One thing you can go ahead and do is the pre-test right here. This is going to be a test just to see what you know about this class, the material that we're covering, plants and animals and fungi, before we start lecturing. Now, this is a 0 pressure test. It's not worth any points. We're just trying to see what you know about biology. So what I want you to do as soon as you're done watching this video is go ahead and take this pre-test. I'm wanting to say 60 to 70 questions, somewhere in that ballpark. But just go through, and if you know the answers, click them. If you see one that you don't know the answer to, feel free to just skip over it. That's fine. We're just trying to see what you know about biology now. And then later on, when we have the real test, we'll compare what you know then to what you knew at the beginning. Hopefully, you'll know a little bit more then. That's just something we have to measure, like as instructors. So do this as soon as you get a chance. Just go ahead and knock it out. Each week that we have a lecture, so like when you watch that lecture video this week, you are going to have a review quiz that's in Blackboard also. There's a few other assignments, and in that week 1 checklist, I'll talk more about them there, so just feel free to watch that later. So there's an About Me survey that you can go ahead and do. But when you watch the Sponges and Cnidarians quiz, for example, as soon as you're done watching that, you can take this review quiz. It's going to be 5 questions on the lecture that we watched that week. You can use your notes on these quizzes. I'm perfectly okay with that. All right. So just open up the quiz, have your notes with you, have the PowerPoint pulled up if you want to, and just make sure you can answer those questions. This is just to make sure that each week you're staying on track and doing what you're supposed to, watching each lecture instead of waiting until like the night before the test and trying to watch everything all at once. All right. Okay, labs. There's a lot of information on labs, so I've got another video right here that you can watch later. But this is where you are going to order your lab kit, and you can sign up for SI Cloud, stands for Science Interactive Cloud. It used to be called Hands-On Labs, and this website was called HOL Cloud. So if you hear me call it that at some point in time, it's just they've just changed the name, and I'm trying to get used to it. But it's the same thing. So what you'll do is click here on this website, and it'll let you sign up and order your lab kit. You can also enroll in our lab section by clicking on that. But anyway, all that information is going to be here in the video. Just a few more things. We will have some discussion board assignments. And basically what this is, if this was a regular class, we could like talk about things in person. We don't get to do that with it being an online course. So this is a way that we can have discussions about different topics. So I'll let you know when those are due. Like your first one is going to be due March 21st. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a ways off. But you'll have each week that we have an exam, you're going to have a discussion board assignment. So that's where you can find those. All right, there's another assignment, the diversity project. So what this is, we have biographies of a couple different scientists with different backgrounds. What you're going to do is read those biographies. And then once you have read them and you feel like you understand the material, there's a diversity quiz. This one is 10 questions, and it used to be, I used to make it worth 10 points. I'm changing that up this semester. What I'm doing is I'm making it worth 5 bonus points. That's actually going to help your grade out more because they're bonus points. So this one, you'll read through these biographies, and then you can use those stories. So let's look at, for example, one on Ben Carson. It's not super long, but it's a decent amount of information to read. Once you've read that and you feel comfortable, you feel like you know everything, then you will take the diversity quiz. There are a couple articles on Dr. Patricia Bath as well, so you'll read those, and those are going to be included in the quiz also. Okay, finally, last few things real quick. Messages. This is going to be the best way to get in touch with me in this class. I'm teaching a lot of other classes at the same time too. So if you send me an email, it might take me a little while to figure out which class you're in, what section you're in and all that. But if you'll send me a Blackboard message, this is just for our course. So I'll know for sure that you're in my Biology 104 Mini 2 section. What you'll do, click on Create Message. When you click 2, it's going to pull up the whole class roster, but I will have instructor out to the side. You can also talk to anyone else in the class too. You can see their names here. All right, so if you wanted to send me a message, click on my name, click this arrow, and it's moved me to the recipients. And now you can type out your message just like an email. Okay, I'll check this like during the work week. I'll check this at least once a day, probably a lot more than that. And I'll try to respond within 24 hours if it's during a work day. So like if you send me something over the weekend, it might take longer. But if I get a message, I'll respond pretty quickly. All right. A couple other things. There's a My Grades section. I'll keep grades up to date right here. And then the calendar, that's another place you can kind of find the assignments. But that's basically it. If you have any questions finding anything, let me know and I'll be glad to help.